And we are joined here today with our fourth representative from the EIVA in George Mason. If you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'm Jay Hosack. I am the head coach.
I'm Liam French. I'm a fifth year.
Well, Coach Jay, I want to start with you. After our last conversation that we had on the College Volleyball Weekly this past couple week, I wanted to start with your opinion on the current state of men's volleyball, the current landscape. Obviously, with roster changes, with programs leaving, I wanted to see where you are as a head coach in navigating this new world of men's volleyball.
Yeah, no, I think we finally got past this last year, and the dust has settled a little bit, and thankfully the judge saw it and had some mercy for our programs and allowed us to have designated student athletes that wouldn't count against our roster limits, and allowed these kids to graduate, on their time rather than forcing them to have to make a decision after they've spent their entire lives trying to get to the highest level possible. So we're thankful about that. But, boys volleyball is the fastest growing sport in the country, and we're hopefully going to keep expanding. I know recently we added UOP, which is awesome, and we have Jessup joining the MPSF and a couple others. And, there's just really unprecedented growth that we just got to keep riding that momentum. And so I think that the sport of men's volleyball is gaining steam. We just got to keep banging on the drums to get people to listen and to want to sponsor the sport. But I think the big challenge, obviously, right now is, a lot of Division I programs around the country probably would love to add men's volleyball, especially after all the success of maybe some of their women's teams. But with revenue sharing, starting to become the topic of conversation, they're wanting to spend money where the money is, getting a little bit more better return on investment. So football and basketball are still driving that bus, so to speak. But I think in the next few years you might see some opportunities pop up because now they'll be able to figure out how they can add that sport and add value to their roster.
Well, I'm here to bang that drum as loud as I can, and hearing opinions from coaches like you is really great. But Liam, I want to shift over to you. As you said, fifth year senior, 3 year starter. Last season ended second in kills for the Patriots. What has changed in your game since stepping on campus 5 years ago to now?
I mean, it's a very long list, I would say, um, of things that have changed. I heard a lot growing up that I had a lot of potential, and then feel like I finally reached that. Just kind of thinking, just play my own game. Don't worry about other people. Um, use my advantage to the best of my ability, which is jumping high, hitting hard. So really honing in on that. And then, one thing I've always struggled with is passing, and I feel like in the past couple of years I've really worked on that and honed that in. So should be a good final year.
Yeah. And then, Coach Jay, what can you say about the development that you've seen out of the player sitting next to you?
I think Liam hit the nail right on the head. We watched him as a young kid playing in the clubs, and we saw a kid that jumped really well, and we saw a kid had a really live arm, and we really saw that potential of him being at the highest level, and we were thankful that he decided to, give us a shot and be the place that he called home, and let him find his way once he got up here. And I think every young club kid, that was successful in their club years and high school years thinks it's going to be the exact same when you get to the highest level, right? When you jump to college. But, the reality is it's kind of like your 14-year-old self playing against your 18-year-old self. You're going to get a couple points here and think you can do it all the time. And the reality is your 18-year-old version is just a little bit bigger, stronger, faster, and has done it at a high level for longer. So I think Liam came in, and I think he was, really pie-eyed and wanted to, show what he could do, and really did some nice things. But he had a lot of guys around him in his position that were, just doing it for a little bit longer. And so, unfortunately, Liam had to sit behind a couple of guys for a little bit, but he learned. And, now we're in a position where he gets to be the guy that is on the court most often, and the young guys that came in from club are looking at him going, man, I want to be that guy someday. And so he gets to be a leader. And I think Liam is thriving in that aspect. He's a team captain for a reason, and, it wasn't voted on by the coaches. It was voted on by the team, and they see him as somebody that they want to follow and they want to learn from. And, Liam is now got his last year to go out there and give it all he's got. And he's excited, and we're excited, and just, can't wait to get started.
Liam, you look at your high school resume. I mean, it's quite impressive. Obviously, a dual sport athlete, couple of MVPs here and there, and now, as Coach Jay said, you've entered into this leadership role. How can you communicate with those younger athletes like you were when you came in to play a role and also help GMU get to a point where they're winning an EIVA championship?
Yeah, I mean, like you guys were saying, I had some guys above me, Omar Hoyos to name one, Sam Peters, Eamon Testerman, older guys that I could really look to when I was a young guy and learn from and really take notes from. And they were leaders for, 2, 3 years. So to be in their position where I've been a leader for, 2.5, 2 years, I've really taken notes from them and how they led me to the success that I have had today, and how I can push that on to the younger guys, the freshmen, the sophomores, and help them succeed so that our program can, continue being successful.
And coach, a lot of that success comes from that early season schedule that you guys set, consistently punching above your weight. Last year, you had 4 matches inside the top 20, or excuse me, top 15. And then this year you've got 3 in Ball State, Ohio State, and Long Beach State. What about scheduling those matches prepare this team for a pretty grueling EIVA schedule?
Yeah, I'm no stranger to scheduling tough. I've done it my entire career. I've always felt that, it's easy to, load or front load your schedule with teams that you're better at on paper to get some victories under your belt. And I don't see any problem with people that want to do that. I've always felt though that those are kind of false security, like you beat a couple of teams that you're supposed to beat, and then you go in against the big teams, and all of a sudden, you're being pushed. The speed and the pace of the game is faster, the altitude's higher, and the next thing you know, you're not really figuring it out, and then you get a little frustrated. I'd rather put us up against really, really good teams to start, see where we are, and recognize the good things, and then we can build on that. And that's kind of been the way that I've done things over the years, and this year is no different. Obviously we have Catawba coming in, which maybe is not at the level of Long Beach or Ohio State, but they're still a good program. They're going to be well coached. Fergie knows what he's doing. But I wanted to give our guys just a chance to get a match under their belt against a good team before we go in against the heavy hitters. And so, I won't shy away from that ever in the future too.
Liam, what are you most looking forward to about those matches? I mean, Ohio State, Long Beach State, Ball State, these are pretty big programs in those conferences. You coming in ready to put some people on notice with a pretty major upset?
Yes, sir. I mean, my mindset I've had over the last couple of years is it's our 7 guys against their 7 guys, regardless of the name of the school that they wear across their chest. Obviously, it's exciting going up to Columbus and playing in that gym, seeing that campus, playing against Ball State. Those guys I haven't played against. In reality, for me, it's just our 7 guys that have been practicing over the last year, and their 7 guys who've been practicing over the last 7 year or last year. And whoever comes out on top comes out on top.
Coach, what can I guess to both of you, what can fans expect when they tune in to a George Mason volleyball game?
I'll let him answer first.
Whole lot of energy, a whole lot of energy. I think one thing that we pride ourselves on is not only the chemistry that we have as a group of guys, but the amount of energy that just comes from our team. I mean, once we score a point, I want everyone to have a smile on their face. Like I think the amount of energy that this team provides to the fans is unmatched.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. I've always liked teams that are blue collar, that are scrappy. They work hard and they don't give easy points away. And regardless of the outcome of matches over the years, some teams are just better than others, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. But my guys know that when another team walks in the gym, that other team's not getting out of there without being bloodied and dirtied and all those things. And I like matches like that. And so the level of compete in our gym is very high. This group of guys, is although there might be some new players on the scene, we've also got a lot of returners from last year's team that I thought turned a couple of corners. And so I'm just really excited about the energy. I'm excited about the mental aspect of our guys. Our heads are in the right spaces. We're getting after it in the gym every day. And they're really focused on trying to earn another EIVA title. It's been a while since we've been there, and we want to leave on a high note.
You mentioned the returners that you're bringing. Obviously, you graduate 4 seniors last year. You have the athlete sitting next to you who's a fifth-year senior. But what other athletes on this team should we be looking out for this season?
Yeah, obviously Liam is going to be a focal point not only for us and the fans, but for other teams. It's just the nature of the beast, and he's ready to handle that, so that's not an issue. Georgi Zaharev, our setter from Bulgaria, he's in his senior year. He's came in and we had some pretty high hopes for him taking the reins from his early days, but I think the guy that was ahead of him was just a little bit more seasoned, and guys played well with him, and we had some success with him. So this is now Georgi's program to the keys are in his hands to be able to run with it. Doesn't mean that it's always going to be perfect. He's got another guy behind him waiting in the wings. He's pretty good himself, but I think Georgi is a guy that he'll be watching. I really like what Alex Lilly is doing in the middle. He's 6'8", big, strong kid, jumps well, has a great serve, great arm, blocks well. I think he's going to be a headache for some people across the net. Our libero, Steph Kins, probably one of the best passers in the country, super solid, good lateral movement. He's got good placement, all those things. We're just super excited about his prospects. He's still relatively young. Him and Alex are both only sophomores. And then, we got an opposite that we feel is going to step up and maybe be somebody that nobody thought right out of the gates. But there's a couple of guys behind him that have been working for a couple of years as well. And so we're pretty excited about that position. We're just going to see, when the cream rises to the top, who we're going to put out there. But, I like what we have. I like the personnel in our gym. I tell my guys all the time, competitively, there's nobody in the country that competes harder than we do. Physically, we're just as big and strong as everybody else in the country. It's always a matter of how well we can execute against how well they can execute. And, that part is yet to be seen. But, if we keep going the way that we're going in the gym, I like our progress. I like our prospects in the future.
You're telling me we've still got a setter out of Bulgaria in the NCAA. That's good to hear. Liam, to you, we finished the season last year with a loss to Princeton in the EIVA semifinals. You've got this new energy coming in this season. What have you seen in the gym this past fall that gives you confidence that I wouldn't say this year is going to be different, but an exciting year in 2026?
Yeah, I get this question a lot from family, friends. How's the fall going? My answer has always been the same. In my 5 years, this is one of the best. The team's been looking the best at this point in the year that I've ever seen. Just came in early in the gym, high competitive nature. Guys wanting to get after it constantly, high energy. It's just been awesome to be a part of, honestly, and just go out there and compete every single morning with the guys. And I think that's going to be a big part of our year, is just coming in early. I mean, we just came off a 2-week vacation, and then, from day one, high competitive nature from all the guys. So that's one thing we really pride ourselves on, is that we're really competitive when it really matters.
Yeah. And coach, you mentioned a couple of freshmen or sophomores this year in Alexander Lilly. He obviously led the EIVA in hitting percentage and blocks per set. What about this George Mason program, this school, you as a coach attract so much young, prospering talent that continues to keep GMU as one of the top teams in the EIVA?
Well, the program's been around. We just celebrated our 50th year of being a varsity sport on campus last year, and that's a pretty big deal and puts us in some pretty elite company around the country. There are very few programs that can say 50 years of being a varsity sport. So I think longevity, first and foremost. We have good support from our administration. Our AD loves our program. We're working behind the scenes to build some bigger and better opportunities for our players in the future, and that support is really helpful. But really, to be honest with you, the thing for me, we're not the blue chip program that everybody recognizes out of the gate. When you say UCLA, when you say Hawaii, when you say Long Beach, like there's some history of success and championships and big, powerful, strong guys, and George Mason's had those back in the day when they were in their infancy. But in recent years, we're more of a mid-level, mid-major program that we have to occasionally take some chances on some kids, and those things have panned out. We train really hard in the gym, and I think myself and my staff, we do a good job of training these guys the right way. But we do also a really good job of fostering this culture that we have that, it's everybody for themselves, obviously, because they got to work hard off the court in the classroom, but they also work hard on the court for everybody in the team, and they're good friends off the court. And we just have a lot of things on the periphery that I think not a lot of other programs have, and we pride ourselves on being a top elite program in that aspect. We may not have the championships that some of these other teams do, but I'll put us up against anybody else on the stuff that we do away from that. And, we'll get there someday, and maybe this year, you never know. And we go out and fight, keep competing, and keep doing the things we're supposed to. And, hopefully in the end, we're hosting a trophy at the end and feeling good about it. So we like where we're at.
You mentioned the things that go on behind the scenes. During your tenure, you've got 4 AVCA honor roll, just academic honor rolls, 3 straight the past 3 years. Obviously, if you're in administration, you see that you love that program that's bringing in that high of a GPA. What about your leadership that gets these kids not only focused in the gym but focused in the classroom?
Well, I'll be honest with you, it's not because of my own personal example of when I was a college student. I wasn't exactly a straight A student, if you will. I had a lot of things that I was doing besides playing volleyball, and I was working at a surf shop, and I was in a fraternity, and also played volleyball. Like, those are all things I did, and I had a very good, positive collegiate experience. But to be honest with you, George Mason's a really high level academic school. People see the acceptance rate and they go, "Oh, well, it can't be that good when they let in that many people." And that's not by accident. That's by design. We want to give people an opportunity from all walks of life and cultures and creeds and backgrounds to be able to get this world-class experience. I mean, we're a backyard of Washington, D.C., so there's lots of international students that come from all over the world to get a high caliber experience. So the education here is really good. My job is to not only bring in good students because they need to be successful in the classroom, but we have an academic, support advisor that watches over our team and follows our guys throughout their career and helps them when they need it and gets them access to tutors and all these fun things. But we foster that, create that aspect of our program pretty well. Cheryl Hunt is her name, and she is just fantastic at her job. And so we give them every opportunity possible to be successful both on the court and off. And I think our fruits of our labor, as you mentioned, we got some accolades that come along with it. We're pretty happy about that.
Obviously, Liam, to kind of go off that, there's a life outside of volleyball, especially once you exit college. What has George Mason done for you to help you prepare for that next step after volleyball?
I mean, again, the list goes on. First year coming to college, I wasn't super prepared. I wasn't great academically, which, it happens. It happens to the best of us. And I wasn't prepared. And so what George Mason did is, they provided me with the right tools, right resources, and right people. And coach helped push me. The older guys helped push me, and, got back on track, got into the right major, graduated in sports management, getting a graduate certificate in sport coaching. So not only the people, around me, but the professors and, like he mentioned, Cheryl Hunt, they actually care so much about you. And so just providing me with, opportunities outside of George Mason, jobs, interviews, that kind of thing, to just help me get to the next level after playing collegiate volleyball has been amazing from here.
Coach Jay, I wanted to talk about the people that you have around you, not only in your athletes, but in your coaching staff. Obviously, this past offseason, Roger Peluso, your former assistant coach, moves to Queens as their head coach, and you bring in a former player in Sam Greenslade. First, talk about Coach Peluso, his effect on this program, and where he's at now with Queens in building that program, and what it means to bring in a guy like Sam, a former player that knows this program, that can now impact this team even more as a coach.
Yeah, first of all, super stoked that Roger got this opportunity. I encouraged him to take that job when it was open, and he and I had a couple conversations about what it would look like and what he would have to do. And when we had him here for those couple of years, Roger's a really good trainer of the game. And so our guys were introduced to some new ways to train and new ways to get better ball control and just, figure out a different way to play the game. And so we're really happy about all that stuff. the unfortunate thing is that Roger's family wasn't able to make the move from Florida, and we couldn't, continue with the path of him not being available at any given moment. So we had to part ways. When he got the job at Queens, I was excited for Queens because it's a program that has real potential. It's a great city. They're in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I know their administration just joined forces with Elon, so it'll be interesting to see what goes on forward with that kind of partnership. But I think they got the right guy for the job, and now it's just a matter of Roger implementing his way of doing things and getting his guys to buy in. And I'm sure there'll be no question with that. That when we knew that Roger was not coming back, I have a number of alumni that played for me that I have a little text group with, and I started sending out some messages going, "Hey, who do we know that might be interested in coming back and being an assistant coach?" Sam's name came right up a number of times, and I said, "You might want to talk to him." And so I gave Sam a call, and we chatted a little bit, and he immediately said, "Yeah, I'm interested in coming back." And it's quite special when you get somebody that's qualified, right, that wants to be a part of your job. That checks off a lot of boxes. It's really quite special, however, when you get somebody that came and played for you during their time here, because now they come in, they not only know how to coach at the highest level possible, but they also know what my expectations are and how I run things in the gym, and the things that I expect from my players, and how things look. Sam came in, hit the ground running at full speed, and I could not be more stoked to bring somebody back who was not only just a great human, right? He's a good guy to be around. He was a great leader while he was on this team. Everybody respected him from top to bottom. He was a great student. He got great experience going off and coaching at some pretty high level programs, and bringing all that stuff back here. It's just been an absolute fantastic marriage. And so I could not be more happy to bring him in and let him do what he does, and just see what he can do to help enhance what it's already been here, and it's his chance now to start winning some championships as a coach. And that's pretty cool too. So yeah, super happy about that.
And Liam, I don't want to assume anything about your future career, but based on your majors and your graduate degree, I would assume that coaching is something that you want to pursue in the future.
That is, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you see Sam come in. You're in your last season. You're soaking up as much as you can. What has Sam come in as an assistant coach, as a former player, that you would really admire about his coaching style in the 1 year that you've had with him?
One thing I really, really admire about Sam is the way he communicates with the players. Obviously, as a former player, he knows, there's a difference in the way you communicate between coaches, between players. And I think what he's done to, create some sort of bond between that communication is awesome. So I feel, and I'm sure the rest of the guys feel, that they can talk to him like he's also a player, but they know that, he's a coach, and he's leading us in the right path. So it's been awesome to learn from him, not only as a player, but see what he does as a coach, and what I can learn from that, and how I can use that in future careers.
And then to wrap us up, a question to both of you. What is one thing? Obviously, we can circle every game on the schedule, but what is one thing that you are most looking forward to about this GMU season in 2026?
Honestly, EIVA finals. That's my personal goal. I think we're good enough to be there. Obviously NJIT, Princeton, Penn State, Harvard, Charleston, they all have some other thoughts. They want to get there themselves, but I think we have the talent. I think we have the right mindset. I think we have the ability to compete at the highest level possible. And so for me, April 22nd, is that what it is? April 25th. That's the goal for me, is to be playing on that day, and putting ourselves in the best position. I like all the other matches in between. That's the day that I'm really focusing on, and each match, each practice is another step in that direction. So that's my answer.
Yeah, I totally agree. Playing the EVAs, I've played in one EVA final before, and unfortunately lost to Penn State. But playing in one would be awesome again. But a big thing for me is there's no environment in the EVA like the rack. Like, playing in the rack is just awesome, and the amount of support we get from the fans and the families is it's unreal. So bringing the EVA tournament here, and being able to play at home, sleep in our own beds, playing in front of the home crowd, that's one thing I would love to do before my career ends.
we see how a home host tournament has impacted teams in the past. You see what Pepperdine did last year. That home crowd took them to the MPSF finals and into the NCAA tournament. And then, Coach, I love your response. I mean, April 25th sounds like a long way away, but it's gonna go by like that. You aren't you aren't Coach Adam out of Sacred Heart who said that he's most looking forward to beating Coach Pav and getting revenge for his loss back when he was a player. But again, I said that was my last question. But what about hosting that home tournament, especially now with an expanded NCAA tournament? Just gives you ever more confidence that yeah, sleeping in your own bed, not having to travel, for each match, gives you just a little bit more oomph going into that tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a part of both sides, doing both things. In my first year, we won the EIVA tournament, but it was not at home; it was at Penn State. And then my third year, we hosted the EIVA tournament, and we lost. We didn't get a chance to take that title, and so it just makes it a little bit more comfortable. It doesn't mean that you're guaranteed a victory, but it's nice to be in your own bed. It's nice to be in comfortable surroundings. It's nice to have your fans and your family and everybody in there cheering you on. That stuff's all great, and that's the goal, obviously. But when there's a draw, we're going to go out and compete and give it our all every day. And I like our chances. I like what we're doing.
Well, I look forward to seeing what you guys do this season, and a trip to Washington D.C. and making it out to GMU is definitely something that's on my schedule this year because, man, that's I mean just a pretty beautiful area right over there. But guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on. I look forward to seeing what you guys do this season, and again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Take it easy, y'all.